Back again for another night of the World E-Hockey League playoffs right here on the YouTube channel. Hi, everyone. T-Sibs with you, and we've got Game 5, 6, and 7 possibly tonight, depending on how things turn out. But as you see last night, the scores from Games 3 and 4, St. Louis eventually taking a 3-1 lead in their best-of-7 series. Meanwhile, it is a series tied up at 2-2. Detroit coming back last night, winning 2 straight. And Montreal looking like they were in control. Now that series is down to a 3-game event. Joining me again, as usual tonight, we've got Lucky Pucker. Hopefully we get White Knucklers on soon. And Chow a little bit later on. Possibly Fort as well. And Best There is back again tonight for another appearance on the playoff show. Guys, how's it going tonight? We had another fun evening of games last night.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Guys are excited
out there.
Guys are excited, obviously, for tonight's playoffs games. And
it's real tense.
Yeah. And we've got a couple of
Detroit, Montreal.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
We've got a couple of guests tonight, too, and I'll let you open up the questioning, Pucker. We've got Zomboy and Dustin P. with us tonight. Dustin, of course, with Vancouver, and Zomboy with Detroit. And I'll tell you what, I'll kick it off to Zomboy again. We talked in the pregame last night. Montreal seemed to play really well the first 2 games, had their game going, played well defensively, and seemingly were in control. And we wondered, who would start last night for Detroit and how much of a difference would it make? And it definitely looked like a tale of 2 different nights. Tuesday was all Montreal. Last night, it looked like you guys were really in control of it. Do you feel like that's going to be the way the series is going to go, that we could see a couple of different types of outcomes tonight in Game 5 and 6 at least?
I believe it's going to be, it's not as easy as it's easier said than done. I'm not going to say we're start chirping or nothing. It's honestly the most intense stuff ever, and I don't want to say anything that I'm going to have to regret later on. But I think we came out strong, and that's what it put us on our heels. It was our first time on our heels all playoffs, I think. And it really goes to show what kind of team we are when we can pull it together after getting put down like that.
Yeah, so what was the locker room like after taking that big loss in Game 1? And, what were the adjustments made to help you guys come back in a big way in Game 3 and 4?
Like I said, there was no negativity. Everybody kept their heads pretty straight. Like I said, it was our first time of facing adversity and in these playoffs, and I guess that's how we came out to respond. We definitely knew our position and that we had to win, or else we just had to start shining up the clubs. But we can't. We went out there tough and playing a hard game, and that's what we did.
Is there anybody in specific that is on Montreal's team that you need to game plan for? And if so, who is it, and what are you guys putting in place to try to stop them?
Honestly, dude, their whole team is pretty good. Like I said, this is the first time I find that we've had to play against 2 solid lines back to back, but their line, I've heard everything different about Montreal. Like their good guys are on line 2, but their line 1 is stronger. Like it makes no sense to me. But we weren't really paying attention to that line 1, line 2 nonsense anymore. It's like we're too far into the playoffs, and I think if you made it this far, you'd clearly have 2 lines that can play.
Yeah, well said. Well said. What is it that you are specifically going to take into the game that you're playing tonight to help ensure that your team wins? Like, what's your strategy going into the games you're playing tonight?
Hopefully the same as last night. 5 points.
Is that all?
Sorry, I'm in a game. I'm a little close. Sorry. I'm in a game. I don't know. We know that due to availability right now, we have a little bit of a problem. But I think it's going to be fun playing this line. But I don't know. I actually couldn't even tell you. I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. I just look at what line I'm on and when I play, and I go out there and try my best to whoop some ass.
One thing I always like to ask everybody who comes onto this show is playoff hockey just brings a whole nother level of excitement, at least for me personally. And I know that there are times that when I'm getting ready to go into the game, I can feel my heart rate just increase a little bit. The electricity going through the arms and the blood, gets going. How do you handle that? Yeah, absolutely. So have you experienced that? And if so, how does that help you, or does that actually kind of get you out of your game?
Dude, honestly, I think it kind of makes me more into the game, to tell you the truth. Makes me like more focused, and I think I was told, like, I can speak for my whole team when it comes to saying that when we were down, like, we never got down on ourselves, and sure that we might have been a little cheesed because it was quite the ass whooping we took, but and we came. I think it just pissed us off and woken the beast of Detroit.
Yeah, how excited were you in Game 3 when you were able to just come back and just put a melee on them, kind of give them a big punch to the face right back at them?
Well, we came in that game getting punched in the face Game 1, right? So I don't know. Like I said, I think it just kind of pissed us off a little bit. You know what I mean? It's not fun, but it happens, and I'm not speaking for tonight at all when I say that, because tonight's going to be crazy again.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to say let's get some time in here with Dustin. And obviously, you guys have we've seen some of the same kind of struggles that Minnesota had to go up against in the last round. You guys win an overtime game and have really battled against St. Louis. And tell me what you guys are thinking after Game 4. I got to believe you guys still feel like you're sticking with them. You have a chance to win any of these games.
I think once we went through Game 4, we were kind of trying to reevaluate what we're doing and what kind of strategy we should be using. But we definitely, the one thing that's been consistent is we believe that we're a good team. We're a strong team. We're a well-rounded team. We work together. And, for the most part, we're having fun. But if we make it through, it's just a bonus for us.
Yeah, that's always good to have that type of attitude. You mentioned some adjustments that you guys have made. What are some of the adjustments that we should be looking for to see if, you guys were able to implement those effectively going into Game 5 tonight?
A couple things we're looking forward to kind of working on. We want to make sure, definitely, like anybody else, we want to minimize turnovers and penalties. But other than that, we're just trying to stay focused, and I think the main thing is for us to just kind of play this like another game through the season, already knowing we're in the playoffs, and not psych ourselves out with all the hype of the semifinals, and definitely not by all the goals that St. Louis has put up through the year.
Right. Hey, we got, just to let everyone know, we got one of the other founders here, Scott Powers, is with us tonight as well, and White Knucklers joins us. We talking to Dustin a little bit about his Vancouver team. What have you guys seen from the Canucks? Anything that's surprising you just yet? Is this what you expected out of them? It seems like they've been 4 pretty solid, interesting games at least against this team.
Yeah, I know from my standpoint that watching them be able to take St. Louis to 2 overtime games has been huge. Definitely earned a lot of respect from me. I think that that Game 1, we saw a lot of defensive breakdowns by St. Louis, and Vancouver was able to capitalize on those, and that was huge. And then Game 4, when they took them to overtime and ended up losing by 1 goal. That game could have gone either way. That's exactly what they needed to do, is get it greasy and grimy and get it into keep it low scoring.
Knucklers, you there, or are you busy getting things together here?
I'm busy. I'll be on when the game.
Okay, I got you. All right, hey, let's talk to Scott here. First time on our live game broadcast, and I don't know how much of the playoffs you've had a chance to watch, but certainly the competition's been interesting, and there have been stories, of course, each round of certain teams having issues, but for the most part, aside from that, the gameplay's been pretty damn good, and the conference finals, again, still have been really interesting matchups. What have you seen so far in the playoffs for this season one?
Yeah, for sure. It's been very exciting. There's definitely the four best teams are in the finals. It's good to see the level of competition. Yeah, we've had some bumps and bruises along the way, but I think we've kind of come in recovering from that. These two series right now, they're just I've watched every bit of it. I've enjoyed watching the WHL Sportscast, and the owners, the teams, the media team, everybody is stepping up. I mean, it's definitely a big stage we're on right now, and it's very exciting. As far as Vancouver goes, man, that could be either a 4-0 or a 2-2 right now with those two overtimes. Just one bounce makes the difference. And hats off to Detroit for coming back last night and evening it up. Very exciting. Looking forward to hopefully 3 games tonight to finish up that series.
We're a couple of minutes away from the start of the games tonight. We don't see any streams just up and available yet, but it's early. And when I mean early, it's only a couple of minutes before the hour, so we've got time.
Of course.
Of course.
We again, we've got Pucker with us. Best. We just heard from Scott Powers. Knucklers is getting his team ready, and we got Dustin and Zomboy who are in this playoff again. And Zom, let's just talk a little bit about what you might or might not expect from tonight. Obviously, all 3 games, if there's going to be 3, are going to happen tonight. There's a lot of juggling of players, and is there any issue with availability with your team tonight, or is everybody set to go?
Oh no! I actually looked in and there wasn't any issue. We just didn't hear from the guy until the last second, but it's fine. Everything's cool. We're getting warmed up and we're fucking ready to go, bud. We're gonna send her real hard, and after that, I don't know if we're gonna win or we're gonna lose. I'm not saying we're gonna guarantee to win. Definitely not, because whatever. And
well, you got my vote.
I don't know, man. This is the toughest series we've had so far, so I don't know. I can't say nothing, man.
Well, considering how things went against Philly in the first round, and Pittsburgh was a pretty good opponent as well, but you haven't had any teams that you felt like could give you a break at any point. I mean, you started off right away having to deal with a tough team. So for you to say that Montreal,
that's exactly it. Yeah, that's honestly Philly was the team to beat as far as I'm concerned, and I'm pretty sure that's as far as more than half the league.
Yeah, so we're in Montreal again. We talked about them. Is there anything that, because of the way they play, and they seem like a pretty balanced team with how they play on defense, they wait for opportunities.
Very defensive team. They're a very defensive team. They're good, solid. You've got a solid core back there. They don't mess around.
Is there anything anything about the way they play that has forced you guys to change anything?
I don't know. Like I said, I think it just kind of stepped us back a little and made us realize that we are definitely not untouchable. Just like we didn't think it was going to be a walk or anything. But I don't know. Like I said, it was the first time we faced adversity, and it made us kind of step up to how we actually play. But I don't know. Like that was one line we played against last night, 2 games in a row, right? Like, but I'm hearing the good players are on this line, that line. I honestly don't even pay attention to that shit anymore because I just hear a bunch of nonsense. So what I do is I go out and I just play with the boys and we do our best.
We're hitting 8 o'clock right now on the East Coast, and so games will be cranking up hopefully soon. Still waiting to see if anybody has started up, but we have don't have any streams at the moment, but we'll get going with these games as soon as possible. We'll be on next week as well. The finals games 1-2 on Tuesday. I believe the schedule is still the same next week for the finals, correct, Scott and Best?
I believe
Yeah, that's
so.
correct.
And so games 1 and 2 on Tuesday at 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, good luck, Vancouver, man. Good luck, boys.
All right.
Dude, good luck.
Thanks,
Detroit.
appreciate
I can't wait to see you in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
hit me up if you want me to hop in here after the game there, bud.
You got it. That's Zomboy taking
good
off
luck,
now.
fellas.
Take care now. He's taking off, and his team is going to be getting ready too. We'll give Dustin a chance to take off now as well. Thanks for joining us. Hey, good luck tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
It's an uphill battle.
man.
3 in a row is a tough thing to do, but it seems like you guys have fought pretty hard every game, and it's certainly possible for you guys to do it.
Absolutely. I got plenty of confidence in my team. We got all of our front line and D set up. Got my boy Loons back in the net holding it down. So hopefully you guys will see me in a Game 6 here soon.
All righty. Best of luck to you.
Have a good night.
All right, take care. And Dustin P. Taking off to go talk to his team, probably get a little practice in as well. Meanwhile, we still have Scott, White Knucklers, Pucker, and Best here as we getting ready for Game 5 at least in the West. As again we take a look at the main bracket here. The Blues up 3-1 in this series. Haven't had a lot of tough opponents just yet. They handled Seattle pretty well in that first round. They handled Winnipeg pretty well in the first round, 4-0 in that one. Losing 2 to Minnesota, and 2 games that Minnesota fought really hard to take. But the Blues were in control of the others, and now, again, against Vancouver, up 3-1 in this series. And as we mentioned, Detroit and Montreal, the Canadiens have looked tremendous in the first 2 rounds, sweeping Toronto, losing 1 to an Ottawa team that looked really good, beating Columbus, and now took the first 2 in this series, and Detroit coming back. Guys, I'll shoot it out to you first, Best. You come away with the first 2 games, you lose the next 2. If the series kept on going last night, I feel like maybe Detroit would have had the momentum. It all depends on how lineups would have been. But do you think the night off and then having to play these next 2, maybe 3 games all in one night doesn't give anybody an advantage because it's a night off and the series is tied? It's basically a one-night, 3-game series.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to be intense. I can't wait for it to start. And it's anybody's game, really. I mean, it's tied. It's the best of 3 at this point, so we'll see who comes out with it. I'm excited. And honestly, I don't think anybody at this point, if anybody has any momentum going in tonight, it would be Detroit from the 2 wins they got last night.
Right.
So it should be exciting.
It's certainly going to feel better about the way they played last night, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They needed them 2 wins, and they got them.
Do you have anybody that you feel like is a favorite going in tonight, or a prediction for the Detroit-Montreal, how this series is going to end up?
Oh, man. Honest, fellas, after the past 2 days, I feel like Montreal has the better chance, but obviously you can't put it past Detroit quite yet. So I think Montreal was going to win it, I think. And I think it's going to go 7 games, but that's just my personal opinion. Could go 7 games.
Yeah, this series is definitely really close. What about you, Scott? What's your take on Detroit and Montreal?
I'm with Keith. I think that it's going to go 7. I think that what we saw in Game 1 or in Night 1, where one lineup was better than the other 2, and then the next night we saw it flipped, right? And I think we're going to see a mixed match tonight on Game 5 and 6, which is how it kind of plays out. And I think the better lineup that the Montreal has to play Game 1 will probably be there for Game 7. So I think Montreal taking Game 7.
Mm-hmm. So do you think Detroit, their best chance to win is to find a way to win Game 5 and 6? Do you think if they go to a Game 7, it's a wrap for Detroit, or do you think that? What's your thoughts about that?
Well, I think anything's possible, right? Anybody could beat anybody in any night. It just depends on how the puck bounces, or if the referees are calling stupid stuff, or the EA is pushing pucks through the boards, right? So you never can tell. But from what I saw with these two teams the last two nights, I think that you're going to have the Montreal's top line in two of these games tonight, and they're going to have to beat They're going to have to beat them once to take this series.
Mm-hmm. All right. Detroit's got everybody in their locker room. They're searching now, so we may have that game first. It looks like Vancouver's getting set up. They've got a few of their guys in at this point. Nothing yet on where St. Louis is, but we're hoping to catch a stream from them. So we may have a game shortly here. We'll see how quickly we can get Detroit and Montreal up and running. I think a Game 7 in Detroit and Montreal, I'm sure neither team wants to have to go to a Game 7, but I think that might be the more interesting of Game 7s, although obviously Vancouver, St. Louis got a lot of firepower, but I feel like Detroit and Montreal are more evenly matched, and with their top lines and the talent that they both have, that could be as much of a shootout as Vancouver or St. Louis in a Game 7, right? How do you guys feel about Detroit, Montreal if it goes to a 7th game?
Montreal's
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think Montreal would take the Game 7 on if it came down to it, because anybody can play Game 7. And I just think Montreal has a better top line than Detroit does, in my opinion.
Yeah, I echo what Beth says.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go against the grain. I think Detroit has the ability to play any type of way that they want to. I think you put Detroit's best players from both lines onto one line, I think you see a different Detroit than we've gotten to see most of the season. I think Detroit does a good job of taking their talent and spread it out to where they get the best chance to win both all the games. And then so I think Detroit, if you compile the 6 best guys and put them on the ice together, I think their 6 best guys is better than Montreal. And in Game 7, it matters about 2 things. Who's got the better guys and whose better guys can play. Because availability plays a big factor in here. And if either team is struggling with their availability, which there may be one team in this series, it's going to hurt. And I think we may see that, play out in this series.
I mean, Detroit does have its days, and he was one of the top scorers in the league. So, I mean, they do have firepower in Detroit. Absolutely, they do.
Well, we've got Detroit and Montreal starting up here.
And Knucklers is here, boys.
There you go, bud. And we got one game going so far, so haven't seen anything yet on the other. Looks like Vancouver may still be trying to gather people together here. Meanwhile, let's watch Montreal and Detroit here, full screen. We'll go to the split screen once we get both games going, give you a chance to look at both of them. And we thank you for watching tonight on the final night of the conference finals. T-Sibs, Best There Is, Lucky Pucker, White Knucklers, and Scott Powers with you. And we are set for what could be 3 games on both sides of action.
Comes to him from the crease. Montreal's moving it up the wing. Good standing poke check. Puck is thrown to Mitchell. Thoughts now from Ray Ferraro.
Montreal's coaching staff does a terrific job with their team in the defensive zone. You can get into the zone. You can set up. It just seems like you can never get into the middle of the ice to the dangerous areas.
Took that pass right up the wing. On to Prosser. Outstanding save. What magic even to get there and get the shot off.
Great display of goaltending right there, Dak.
Skated up the middle. Somebody crept in offside.
Little tentative action so far in that game. Vancouver and St. Louis about ready to get going.
Still scoreless. Solid win at center ice. Now what? In with it now. On free puck now. Uncle Larry's trying to work his way to center ice. Took it right back.
I'm gonna let the first one in to let them think they're gonna win, and
No.
how about
Shoots.
let the first one in, boys.
Trying to go to Mitchell.
What is it? It's arm one, right?
The Red Wings are up the wing in neutral ice. That one's passed up the middle to Ryan. Laid on to Prosser. Sliced right through the middle. Long lead pass to Davis. Pass attempt to Ryan. The Red Wings have gotten out of their own end. With a shot. Didn't test him much there. Good save. Covers and stops play.
St. Louis, Vancouver underway.
Who'd you guys predict to win these games?
Good job on the draw. Montreal's got it.
I think I certainly didn't make any predictions. I'm not going to do that.
Well, you're the moderator. You can't do that.
I am always wrong. That's why I'm not going to do it. I am never right.
We got the big boys in here too, Scott and Best There Is. All right, what a night.
Yeah, so far, every time I've predicted something, it's been pretty wrong. So it's almost a curse if I predict Detroit to win. But I did predict Detroit to come out ahead in this series.
Okay, so you probably like a Game 7 then.
Actually, I think they have a better chance winning it. I think they'll win it actually in 6. I don't think it'll go to Game 7.
Okay. I think St. Louis wins Game 5, and I think this series goes to 7.
Well, hopefully they get that started soon. I think they just had a disconnect, so they're going to have to start over again. I'm not sure who the offending team was, but we'll find out.
0-0 in Detroit, Montreal still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like both teams are trying to figure each other out in this first period. They're going back and forth, getting some decent scoring chance on both ends, but nobody's really finding a way to get really high quality shots yet.
They're being cautious.
Yeah,
they're both being cautious.
Playing the puck on the outside a lot right now.
Yep. Which you would expect in a tie series like this.
I will add that my brother, the professor, made a rookie mistake, and he is playing as a lefty in center right now when he's typically a righty.
Oh, really?
A little fun fact for you guys. Yep.
That's interesting.
No, I've done that. It throws you off at first, but I'm sure he'll be able to adjust.
Oh, is that on purpose or was that an accident?
He just sent me a text. He said, I have no idea who changed his class. So he's pointing the finger, but I don't think anybody else has access to his account. So I think it's purely a rookie mistake on his part.
Clearly. Yeah.
It wasn't me.
You don't happen to have a parent or a little sister who's playing NHL? That might be a culprit in this one. Someone you could blame?
No, it's only us two and my parents. Yeah, they're not going to go on my PlayStation. So I don't know who it would be.
I don't know. Are they my age? It's possible.
Yeah, I believe they are, without giving your age away. I think I know what it is, but...
Oh, I don't care. I'm somewhere around old and almost dead. Going to hopefully get Fort in here shortly.
Yeah, I just saw that. I just now saw that. I was away for a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Davis looks to the neutral zone.
I didn't even know I was the party leader. How that happened?
It's like, well, I think you started. Vancouver and St. Louis having another disconnect, so that one's having a lot of trouble getting going. We may have concurrent consecutive games going on here.
It's been working out nicely, though.
Oh, yeah.
Where one game starts probably 5, maybe 10 minutes before, and then that game ends, and you still have maybe half or the third period of action to call. So
yeah,
it's not necessarily a bad thing from an immediate standpoint.
Neither goalie has made any mistakes so far. They've won the faceoff. Terrific poke check. Pitching it to Davis.
Been a very tentative game so far. Detroit, Montreal. Detroit doesn't want to make any mistakes. They had to go a little, and there you go, a loose puck in front. Boy, one mistake, and Montreal able to capitalize immediately on it. Nobody wanted to make a mistake. They were trying to be very careful with how they were moving the puck around. Detroit had to fight hard last night and be aggressive, but at 2-2 in games, I think they came out a little bit tentative, and Montreal now with the goal can be a little more aggressive. We've got Fort in here now joining us, and good to have you on here, buddy, as we've got some interesting games going on tonight.
Thanks. Thanks, man. Yeah, definitely. Very interesting.
What's your first time we've had to talk to you on this broadcast? What's your thought about tonight? How do you see both these series going down?
Well, like I said, in game 1 and 2 for the Vancouver series, if Vancouver doesn't come out and kind of punch St. Louis in the mouth, then I think St. Louis will win the series. In the one game, as for the series that we're watching right now, I really think that this could go either way. I think, I think Montreal is, they're working with what they've got due to availability. I know that, and I definitely think that Montreal could win this series as long as things work out for them.
If it gets to a game 7 with these two, Detroit and Montreal, how do you see that working out?
A game 7, I'm taking Montreal. You can put Thapper back in net. You've got quality forwards. As long as availability, like I've said, works out, then I think things will really work out for them.
Breakaway opportunity for Detroit, and they could not capitalize. And now Montreal coming back the other way. But an opportunity, golden opportunity. In these games, you may not get too many of them.
Still trying to generate some offense here. That's another pass to him. And he steps across the line. Fires! Wonderful save. It didn't look like he had a thing to shoot at. And he is shooting. And a save. Not able to do that.
Thapper has Cab Relics in net tonight. Is that confirmed, Pucker? Did you see that?
Yeah, let me get on that, and I'll get it for you momentarily.
And if that is the case, he's already made one save on that breakaway that was almost a game-tying goal. And now Detroit, first penalty of the game, and power play going to Montreal now here. 4:01 left to go in the second. This has been a relatively quick game 5 so far with Montreal up 1-0, but not a lot of offensive activity. Now we'll see if Montreal can add to this. I'm not sure if 2 goals is going to win it, but I think it might be damn close to being a winning score the way things are going in this game.
Yeah, it looks like the Game 5 lineup for for Thapper's team is the Dirty Dog at left wing, the big little guy at center, Vikings at right wing, Lefty is Backham Jamboree. Right D is the Haunted. And in net, they've got Cav Relics. So that's a huge save by him on that breakaway.
And there, Montreal taking advantage and putting one in the net to make it 2-0 here. Couple of minutes left to go in the second period, and still not a lot of offensive output, but Montreal seems to be a little bit more in control of the play, and a power play goal puts them up by 2 right now as we approach the final 2 minutes of the second period.
Right near the line, can he keep it going? Sends to the point. Good intercept. The Canadians continue on at center. Smart recovery by Prosser. A shot. Great save. Wonderful save.
Vancouver and St. Louis have started. It's a 5-on-3 for Vancouver, and we'll take a look at that here shortly. You see Detroit leading in shots on 11-7 over Montreal, and you see Vancouver now getting on the scoreboard to start this one off, and that is well, it's 1-0, and we know how these games go. So 1-0 is not going to be the end of it.
No, definitely a crucial goal right there. You know, as I said, you got to come out, you got to punch St. Louis right in the jaw and kind of, you know, granted with the power play, yes, it helps, but still, I mean, that's a huge confident boost for Vancouver.
And now a second goal. Very quickly, Vancouver up 2-0, taking advantage of that two-man advantage. The first one on the power play, then a remaining seconds in the one-man advantage, and they score again. And now Vancouver, a very quick lead. Can they keep on this and keep the aggression going?
Tell you what, that's not how my boys drew up the start.
I would think not. Like that was beer and pickles on both of those goals. So there to the second one for sure, able to pick up a rebound and poke it home on a pretty much open net. And again, we talk about cross creases with goaltenders, guys, but and finally Detroit has just gotten on the board, so it's now 2-1 Montreal. We'll get back to that game in a minute here. But it's also rebounds. You know, goaltenders can make that first save most of the time. Open rebound, if it's not covered up, if it's not knocked away, if there's somebody in the way there, it can pick it up. It could be an issue. And now we see St. Louis coming back here, putting one up on the board. It's now 2-1 Vancouver.
Yeah, and that's what you can't do on St. Louis. You can't sleep on them. They can score at any point in time. You got to play solid defensively for 60 minutes, and otherwise you're going to see them put the puck in the back of the net.
The Vancouver game is looking a lot like Game 1, where Vancouver got up early 2-0, and then St. Louis scored 4 in a row.
We'll give you a split screen. Montreal, Detroit on the left, Vancouver, St. Louis on the right. Obviously, Detroit, Montreal will end first, and we'll get back to that in the last few minutes on full screen in a little bit. But both teams, Montreal and Vancouver, jumping out 2-0. Vancouver in the first. Montreal took them till late in the second to get that lead. Now trying to hold on here in the third period. Minute and a half left to go on a Detroit Detroit power play. And a big kill needed here for Montreal.
This is a big game for Detroit. They definitely want to come out of this one with a win, so I'm sure they're going to be pressing here on this power play in the rest of this period to try to come back and at least tie it and take it to overtime, if not win it in this third.
So Montreal kills the power play for Detroit. Hit the 11-minute mark, left to go in the third. Canadians looking for insurance. Good puck movement by Detroit, though. So this is where Montreal's defense needs to really hold strong here.
And you notice that Montreal's putting 5 guys, just planting them in front of the net. And honestly, when you've got a lead in a tied series, that's probably not a bad strategy. Just put a lot of bodies in front of the net and hope to keep the other team to the outside.
Mitchell's displaying some courage after being banged up earlier in the shift. He still gets himself into the shooting lane to block the shot.
See, we're getting down to the last few minutes here. Under 4 minutes left to go first period. St. Louis down by 1 in this game 5, up 3-1 in the series.
The Canadians force another turnover in this game. Let's see what they can do with it.
Vancouver sprinting out on a partial break and have put themselves up 3-1 now. Defensive lapse there for St. Louis, not able to catch up. And Metcalf able to put one in and put Vancouver up 3-1.
And Metcalf is one of the leading scorers for Vancouver. He's definitely having a big game 5. He needed to do this to lead his team to this victory if they're able to hold on to this lead and win this game.
Long from over, we know how St. Louis is, but late in the first, right now, St. Louis finding themselves down by 2. And some good passing, good shot, but a good play by the defense coming back, and goaltender able to make a cover-up there. See the shots, 18-10 in favor of Detroit, so it's been more Detroit on the offense in shots. Time on attack, only a few seconds difference, so these two teams have played fairly even. First period ending for Vancouver and St. Louis. We will get back to that game in a second. Hopefully we'll show you, we'll get you over to Detroit and Montreal full screen until that game is back on again. Got just about 4 minutes left to go in this third period. We'll watch the last 4 minutes of this one, and then we'll go full to the West and go to that game.
I'm surprised, but Vancouver's win.
That shot's blocked. Skill play by Chelios. Makes the shot. Save. Keeps and covers.
Looks like another timeout being called here. A few minutes left to go. Vancouver. St. Louis with 6-4 shots on goal favorite. That game about to start back up again, and we'll get to that one shortly. Detroit, Montreal will be starting back up here in a second. And we'll stick with that one to the end.
They win the draw. Now can they get it out? Moving it to Tommy. Up the wing with it now. It's on his stick up that left side. Takes that pass that was just slipped ahead to it. The final 60, at least of regulation time. Lets it go. Save. He knocked it on. Laid on
Pass that puck quick.
Another good scoring chance by Montreal.
Thrown to Ryan. That puck is loose. No luck.
Detroit needs to get the puck out of there, Joe. No, there you go.
Two players came to the boards. Boom.
He finishes his check here and drives his man right into the boards.
Shot. Wonderful.
Couple of good shots there for Detroit.
Now that's a
There you go.
save. A beautiful one.
Montreal cannot get it out.
Ryan. That's a free puck thanks to the play by Prosser.
Final few seconds. 10 now left to go. Detroit will hold on to it. 9.1. I know it's taboo typically, but do you pull the goaltender? Do you leave it as is?
I think 9-1, you got to pull it. If they score on it, it is what it is. If you score, then it probably helps.
Yeah, face-off wasn't in their zone, so they decided not to, but here's an opportunity. But the puck comes out of the zone, and Montreal will win this one 2-1. 22 shots on goal for Detroit. You see that in the stats. And again, a pretty physical game for Montreal on that. With time on attack, certainly close to each other on that. But a good, solid game for Montreal. They played the defensive game. Detroit tried to play a little more offensively. But Montreal killed a lot of clock there and didn't allow Detroit too many really good opportunities. See big little guy and Vikings with the goals there. Meanwhile, Vancouver's gone up 4-1. We'll get over to that game in a second. Just want to look at the scoring here before we head on over. And again, Professor playing a good game, but just not enough offense generated by Detroit in this one.
Yeah, and that's kind of surprising with Zomblid on right wing and It's Days on left wing. I kind of expected them to kind of have a big game offensively. And Montreal just played solid defensively throughout that game and had even though the time on attack was even, it felt like they had the puck in the Detroit zone more often than Detroit had it on the other side. But Montreal did what they needed to do to win this game, and good luck to Detroit to keep the series going in Game 6.
We now watch Vancouver and St. Louis. It's about 7.5 left to go in the second period, and Vancouver trying to keep this series alive. And St. Louis getting themselves on the board finally in the second period.
St. Louis has scored to get back to within 2. So that's not a big deficit considering we're in the second period. And they've taken that face-off between the blue lines and won it. And he shoots one. The Canucks have it in the defensive zone. Drives ahead.
Yeah, this was looking a lot like what we saw in Game 1 from Vancouver, able to put up a bunch of goals. Be interesting to see if St. Louis is able to come back.
And a breakaway attempt there and a slapper to put it home. And now St. Louis only down by 1 with 4:09 left to go in the second period. Lapse in defense there, and now for a defensive player you want to try and be part of the offense, but with this St. Louis team, you got to keep these guys in front of you all the time.
Yeah, that's the challenge is to know where to pick your spots. On defense, you have to trust your offense to be able to get the job done and get you into the play when it's going to work out. You just got to stay back and be patient and just do your job to keep a high-powering team like St. Louis out of from scoring.
Two straight goals by the Blues now, and seemingly have the pace going their way. Canucks now playing a little more defensively. Their defensemen hanging back, weren't really part of the offense the last push. Let's see how much they get involved now. And there, an opening and a loose puck coming out to the wing, and Vancouver able to capitalize. Again, get something on the net. It bounces around. We know how this game works. And Vancouver taking advantage of it.
I will say that's something that Vancouver has done consistently well, put pucks on net pretty frequently when they are entering the zone. The only exception to that was last night when we saw them face White Knuckler's line, and White Knuckler's line was able to hold them to only 5 shots. It'll be interesting to see when Game 6 comes if Vancouver's able to win this, if St. Louis's White Knuckler's line is going to be able to hold them to that few of shots.
A few seconds going down here in the second period.
This is a very competitive game.
Almost one more chance there, but the second period over with Vancouver ahead now 5-3, and Metcalf with another goal on that one. And on the replay, I don't know if he got a shot off or if he did, it came right back to him, or he just made a good move. He saw the log jam in front, and I think he might have just walked around it and made the play that he needed to make. Yeah, he did. He just picked up that puck, saw too many players in front, and just kept on skating, found an opening. So nice play by Metcalf to get himself a sure goal on that last one.
This is like polar opposites from what we've seen from Detroit and Montreal.
Oh, absolutely. And really the interesting part is I feel like Vancouver offensively hasn't, they've taken some chances at times that have led up that have given St. Louis odd man rushes or breakaways, but their forwards seem to be playing a little more. They're taking a few more chances. They're moving the puck better than we've seen them, I think, in some previous games. This is more like Game 1 that we saw from Vancouver.
Absolutely it is. I was just going to mention that. This is the team we saw in Game 1.
Third period starting up here.
I noticed their defense pinching up a little further, too, when they're in the O-zone.
I think that caused the last goal for Vancouver, and they need to be careful with that. They've got a 2-goal lead. I just don't know how much of a chance you really need to take at this point.
Not that much.
No. Penalty coming up against St. Louis. Vancouver will get a 2-minute power play here.
Well, that helps.
One thing we saw earlier in this game was St. Louis trying to hold on to the puck a little bit extra time on the penalty kill, and that actually led to one of Vancouver's earlier goals. It'll be interesting to see if St. Louis is full-bore attack right now since they're down, or if they're more of go ahead and get the puck down the ice and try to come with the, wait till after the PK's over to attack.
Yeah.
Power play coming down to the end here for Vancouver. Cleared out, loose puck. And an opportunity there on a wrap, and St. Louis almost taking advantage of it. Is one thing, and again, as a goaltender, obviously, I really hate this, but the bounces of the puck around the net are so unrealistic at times. You just want to scream and throw your controller, and it seems like a lot of times that happens. The goaltender can't make a pickup the way they should be able to. We're still watching Game 5 here, third period. Vancouver leading St. Louis 5-3. As you see, T-Sibs, Best, Pucker, White, Knucklers, Scott Powers, and Fort all here with you. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast as we will watch 2 series close out somehow tonight, one way or another. Montreal won Game 5. Game 6 coming up shortly.
Really good game.
Vancouver not letting up offensively. They're not getting timid. I give them credit for that.
Absolutely. That's what they need to do. They need to keep the pedal to the metal, so to speak.
Some good passes and an open net. Oh, such a good opportunity there, but a great play to cover up there at the net.
Yeah, that's one thing you never want to do. You never want to go into a shell and just play strictly defensive. you still want to take this. The best defense is a good offensive zone presence. If you can keep the puck out of your zone, then you got a good chance of keeping the other team from scoring.
I agree. Absolutely.
Vancouver has Loons back in net tonight. He had a nice night last night. And a wrap opportunity and another goal there for Vancouver, and that is a big one here. 5:50 left to go. And a 6-3 lead now for the Canucks, and that is a big one. St. Louis gets one, only down by one with a few minutes left to go. They still have a shot. Now they're going to come back 3.
The White Knucklers, while we still have you here before you have to get prepared for Game 6, any thoughts that's going through your head as you're watching this Vancouver-St. Louis game unfold?
Yeah, I think he might be. He either has he might have a connection issue, or he's crying.
Sorry, I'm back.
There
What's
he is.
going on? You guys cut out.
Yeah, I was just saying that since we'll probably lose you here to get ready for Game 6, I was wondering what your thoughts were as you're watching this game between Vancouver and St. Louis unfold, and what your thoughts are.
Vancouver's up 6-3 now.
What I'm seeing here is just a really sloppy game by both teams. It's a lot of neutral zone, more of a ping-pong style back and forth. My goal is to get clean entries and keep in the O zone. As you said, the best defense is keeping the offensive zone. So that's really my game. Control the pace of play, control the puck, and then good things are going to happen. Because you limit those EA bounces where we've seen Vancouver score a couple goals on those. So really just kind of lead my guys, make sure we work as a unit and stay confident. Last series, it was the same situation. We had Game 5 to close it out. We couldn't do it, and then my line had to go in Game 6, and we got it done. So hopefully we can repeat that.
45 left to go in this third period with Vancouver up 6-3. St. Louis on a power play, but I can't imagine this has been too much of a surprise. You know how good Vancouver is, and they certainly have the ability to play with you guys. I don't know if this is if the lineups are a part of the strategy, but at least Vancouver isn't giving up, and they're giving you guys a good series so far.
Yeah, and that's what we play for. We play to compete, go deep in the series, and have a good time. We would like a sweep, but in my opinion, that's not too fun. I live for the Game 6, Game 7, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, whenever you got to get going, we'll let you go and get ready for game number 6.
I told the boys I wanted a night off, but they couldn't give it to me, so I got to get ready.
And just wanted to look at the lineups for both teams there. Let's see. They're talking about, so I guess FAP is going to be in net for Game 6 for Montreal. Let's see. So we won't talk to him for a little while.
St. Louis just took another penalty.
Few seconds winding down. Vancouver clears, and it'll be a 6-3 Vancouver win in this one. We'll stick around for the post game to see what we get stats wise. But Metcalf, a pair heedless with a hat trick there for Vancouver, and so the Canucks taking this Game 5, drawing the series now to 3-2. And again, this team not going to give up. They're going to play every game, and which is good. I mean, obviously, you're seeing a team that wants to win, that is going to take it one game at a time. And St. Louis now has to get in there and try and close it in 6. If it goes to a 7th game, we may very well see kind of what we saw in that first game. Might get a little wide open. It's going to be pretty damn competitive if it gets to 7, but. Obviously, Knucklers and his boys are going to try and stop that from happening. So, Game 6 coming up shortly. We've got Detroit gathering their guys. I'm sure Vancouver will, as well as St. Louis here in a matter of minutes. But we look at the playoff scoreboard now, and as you see, Game 5, you have Vancouver with the 6-3 victory. Montreal 2-1 over Detroit. Series now in favor of Montreal and St. Louis at 3-2. And again, going back to the Vancouver-St. Louis game, obviously St. Louis wanted to close it out, but it wasn't a must-win. Vancouver has to run the table, and you hate to let them start the momentum of running the table. And Game 1 win here, Game number 5, the first game tonight, starts that momentum, and you're hoping that you stop it at Game number 6. If I'm management over in St. Louis, my point is, don't let them get momentum. Don't let them keep this going the next game. Let's stop it now so that we don't have to worry about everything being even at Game 7.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always fun to see bigs against bigs and see how these teams match up when they're absolute best players are on the ice. So getting to see a Game 7 is a privilege in any playoff games. I think, if you got a choice, you definitely don't want to let your team go to a Game 7 because then all bets are off. Any team could win. And then that means that, if the other team wins, then you're going home, and nobody wants to do that. So I think St. Louis needs to finish their business and close it out here in Game 6. And Detroit, I'm pulling for them to actually have a upset win in Game 6 to push a Game 7. So we'll see what happens.
We see Thompson, the Detroit owner. Looks like stepdad may not be available tonight because I know he had to pull him from an earlier game, and he may not be available for Game 7. So that's kind of a big deal for them. He's been a pretty damn good contributor for Detroit.
Yeah, he's come up huge in every game that he's played. In fact, I'd love to see the breakdown of his actual playoff record, but I think that I don't think he's lost very many games when he's in the lineup. And so for them not to have him is a huge loss, and that's kind of what I was alluding to without giving anything away. In the pregame show is that Montreal is down a couple of key guys, so tonight we're really getting a chance to see how deep Montreal's roster really is because they're playing, without some of their better players, and they're still able to find a way to win it in Game 5 against Detroit. It was a nitty-gritty game. It was a 2-1 win, but, they got the job done, and that's what matters.
For Game 6, for Detroit, right now we have Bear, Thompson, and Habs Rule up front. Saarinen and MNMZ on defense, Fat Boy in goal for Detroit. And obviously, it's a pretty good front line. We know Bear's done some damage in the playoffs so far. Thompson has been pretty steady for them as well. So not a bad line for Detroit going up here in Game number 6. And Fat Boy's played pretty well in net, too. So whether or not, I think that forward line can certainly put some pressure on Montreal. We'll see whether or not what Montreal is going to go up against here and what they plan on Game 6. Trying to see a lineup there, but I don't see one for Montreal at this point. So hopefully we will get some more information on who they plan on starting in Game 6 tonight. And I think, let's see. I know Stepdad was supposed to be in Game 5. He was swapped out for Captain Nura. And he may not make it for Game 7 as well. So Detroit getting set up with their team. Vancouver and St. Louis might be a little while before we see them get set up. And obviously, and Knuckles is still here. Obviously, Vancouver, needing to win. They're playing hard. Do you have any concern about your guys? I know you wanted them to finish out so you didn't have to play Game 6. Was there any concern going into Game 5, Knucklers, about guys thinking, well, we've got this, and we shouldn't put too much pressure out there? Or are your guys full bore pretty much every game they go out? I think we have a little issue with Knucklers again with audio, so I think we'll hopefully we'll get Knucklers on again here if his audio issue clears up. But I mean, that would be my concern, guys. Game 5, your team's up 3-1. Like I said, you don't want Vancouver to get momentum going, but it's hard to get up for a Game 5 when you know that you've got. You're always going to have your top line going in Game 7. You're going to have a pretty damn good one going in Game 6. The Game 5 squad, I don't know how much of a drive it is for them to try and close the series out in that game.
For St. Louis or for
St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah, I think St. Louis definitely wants to win game 6. I think it's one of those situations where I think we're going to see pretty close to the same line in Game 6 and Game 7. So I think their preference would be to just go ahead and knock it out in Game 6. We've seen this the line that we're about to see really put a stop to a whole lot of scoring chances from Vancouver already in this series. So Vancouver's going to have to find themselves very opportunistic, find a way to get the puck in and get some quality scoring chances, and also eliminate some of the offensive prowess that we've seen from this top line of St. Louis. This is a high-powered offensive line that knows how to win the game, and you heard it from White Knucklers himself. His game plan going into the game is going to be to hold on to the puck in the offensive zone, get the puck to space, and then find a way to bury the puck and let good things happen. And that's going to decrease the amount of time that Vancouver has with the puck if Knuckler's line is able to do what he's going to try to do. So that's one of the things that Vancouver's probably going to have to do. They're not probably going to be able to sit back and just put 5 guys in front of the net, because we've seen the St. Louis line just find a way to pick those type of defenses apart. They're going to have to get a little bit more aggressive defensively. I think it's still a good idea to not get too crazy on the trap and the forecheck. It'd probably be a good idea to stick with the neutral zone trap, but I really like to see Vancouver get more aggressive defensively and not let these guys skate around. If they let St. Louis skate around and hold on to the puck, they're going to find it really hard for them to score and find a way to win this game.
Vancouver is getting set up there, almost have everybody ready to go. Still got a few minutes before the top of the hour, so certainly no one's in a huge rush here. Detroit's got some of their guys in the locker room right now, and hopefully they'll get going soon. We've got Thompson providing a feed there. We thank him for doing that, and Beer and Pickles as well for providing the game 5 Vancouver St. Louis feed for us in the last one, and he's I believe going to be in this one as well, so he may very well. We're going to keep on watching his stream most likely.
What's your thought about trying to get It's Rayful from Game 5 in here for St. Louis to talk about a little bit of what he saw in Game 5 and see if we can get him in here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's we've got some time here to kill, so we might as well get him in here if you can invite him.
Take Minnie out.
Know him pretty well. I've played with him in PSN. In other leagues, and I think the interesting thing is, he was a pretty good player to begin with a couple of seasons ago, maybe about a year ago, but he has improved a lot under 19, and I think his game, I don't know if it's the game or if it's just the style that he plays with it, but I've seen his game step up, and he's put himself in a position where he is a leader in his play on this team, and that's something that. If nothing else, he should be proud of what he's been able to do, as a forward in this game. And he, again, you see guys do this from release to release. We see guys who struggle, but we also see guys who, their game is better suited because of to whatever build is going on in 19, and they suddenly how they play the game is much better because the game is built more for how they play, and I think that may be the case for Rapel, at least for this season.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think Rapel is a really solid player, and NHL 19 definitely suits his style well. He's very good with the dangling and the L2. He's able to find his way into open space. Unfortunately, in this series, we really haven't seen him do a whole lot, and I wonder how much of that has to do with being out for those 3 weeks, and if there was a huge impact for him. So that's one of the questions that I'm going to pose to him when he gets in here is, how were the 3 weeks off, and do you feel like that impacted his game? It definitely looks like it did in this series, at least.
Are you getting Rapel on right now?
Yeah, we're shooting him an invite and trying to get him in here.
Oh, that should be interesting.
Always.
That's what we're hoping for, to keep this interesting.
The question is, how quickly will we knock ourselves off the air once he starts talking? So,
or how quick?
Yeah. FCC doesn't usually have jurisdiction on the internet, but it might apply this time, and we'll find out in a second now as we have Rapel on with us. Thanks for joining us, buddy. How you been?
Good. That was a pretty heartbreaking loss there from Game 5.
I bet.
What are you guys talking about tonight?
Yeah, we're just talking about that Game 5 loss for St. Louis, and wanted to get your take on what you saw on the ice. What did Vancouver do well? What did you guys struggle with? What adjustments are you going to need to make in Game 6 to close this series out?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you. We're actually struggling to even get a lineup together right now. We had a buddy, one of the guys that hadn't been playing a whole lot. We had to get him into the lineup, and he apparently doesn't even have his NHL installed onto his PlayStation. So that's we're in a little bit of a scramble right now.
That's almost a requirement.
Yeah, it is. I probably should have checked into that. Metcalf looked really good in that game. I found that.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think he had a few goals, maybe like 3 or 4 goals. I still thought we had the majority of the play. Like we had the puck a little bit more, I believe, if you look at the numbers, probably. But I don't know how that Game 6 is going to go. We're going to have a lot of guys playing out of position, so I'm kind of nervous for that one.
Well, at least you have the series advantage.
Yeah, that is huge. It
absolutely is, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Rapel, one of the things we were talking about, before you jumped into the group, is how different games can like NHL 19 versus NHL 17, and players really grow and can blossom in different series of the game. Has NHL 19 been your best series, and how do you feel like you've grown as a player, as an individual?
I think NHL 19 has probably been one of my favorites, honestly. The addition of they've really improved the back skating, and I'm sure a lot of people know that now. Like the L2 gods, right? That's what everybody does now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I really like that improvement with the back skating for sure. I find I play a little bit of goalie. I find it's a little bit easier to play as a goalie as well. Other than that, not really. It's kind of always the same. To it, it's the same, but there's always a couple of minor tweaks, right? But I like it.
One of the other things that I promised the viewers that I would ask you is that coming into this to this game, or this series, you had to have 3 weeks off. And so, tell us a little bit about how that impact of that 3 weeks off has impacted you, and do you feel like you're starting to get your game back, or what's your take?
Well, I obviously still spent time playing the game, right? It's not like I was banned from playing it in general, but I did get away from playing with a lot of the same guys that I usually play with, right? Like we'd always be playing sixes and stuff. And I mean, I haven't got to play in any league games, right? So it's a different atmosphere playing league games and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a learning curve getting back into it for sure.
So do you think that that's negatively impacted you, or do you feel like it's really not made much of a difference?
I really don't think that it's that big of a difference, to be completely honest.
Very good.
Thanks for stopping by for some intense.
What was that?
What? I don't know. It was coming in off of one of the browsers there, but that's okay. I swear it wasn't porn.
Sounded like we were getting kicked off here in a second, for sure.
Is that those local singles in your area?
Well, Rapel was talking, so I had to do something else while that was happening.
Hey, Rapel, so do we have a line for this game 6?
I'm working on it right now. We got, we're going to definitely have to take a penalty. I know that for sure. We got, oh God. We got you for sure. With,
Since
sorry,
you've got I was just going to say, since you need to focus on this and get your line together, why don't you dip out of here and get that straightened out? And
yeah, I'll come back in after if you guys still need me in here, but I'm going to go make sure I can take care of that really quickly.
Yeah, I would love to have you back. Definitely jump back in if you get that figured out.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having. Just give me a few minutes to get that game set up, and I'll come back.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, for sure. Bye-bye.
Rapel joining us for a few minutes here, and game still not quite underway. We're at 9:02 here on the East. It looks like Detroit is almost ready with everybody. I'm just trying to confirm what we have. Confirm what we have. Where Thompson at center. He definitely has Bear flanking him on one side, and Habsrule on the other side. MNMZ on right D, and Saarinen on lefty, as we suspected, and Fat Boy in net. So that is their lineup. They look like they're about ready to get going. We'll hopefully have that one for you soon. Vancouver has their lineup in right now. It's Sink Smasher, flanked on the left side by Beer and Pickles. Colander on right. Goodfella right D. Lefty is a Esiason fan. And in net, Dustin P. For tonight's game. So we at least have those lineups to show you. Both of these games close to getting going as soon as somebody on the other side is ready, and we'll get these happening. How do you guys feel about that Vancouver lineup, the front line of Sink Smasher, Beer and Pickles, and Colander? Is that a line? Is that a forward line that can do enough damage against St. Louis, or do you think that no matter what they can do offensively, the Canucks still need to play a little more defensively?
Beer and Pickles, I'm pretty sure we saw him. I need to go back and look at it, but I'm pretty sure we saw him in game 1 have a big game, lead his team to a win. Then he comes out in game 5, another big showing by him, leads his team to win. This is his third game in game 6. And I just looked at that to make sure that he hasn't overdone his games. And so, yeah, he's absolutely going to be looking to have a big game in game 6 as well. And if he's able to, he may be able to help lead his team to forcing a game 7. Especially with St. Louis's issues with their lines that's going on right now, which is unfortunate. And that's the thing about playoff hockey is that when availability comes into play, all bets are off,
Well, I tell you what, this is May. This is early May happening, and now could be some guys in college. Could be. I know some high schools are at the point now where they're also trying to get through their finals in the next week or two. So there may be guys who are busy, but this is going to be nothing compared to probably what we'll see during the summer season. Historically, in any summer seasons that I've played in, they have been a bit of a nightmare trying to get guys to play regular season. And then you get to August in playoffs, and there's so many people on vacation, it's usually a nightmare to field the team. And it's the last thing you want is to be having guys not be able to make playoff games, especially in the conference finals. It's rough because you expect to have your full squad ready to go, psyched up to play, and a lot of guys may not be able to do that.
Vancouver got another error.
I was going to say, that brings up a good point, and we could talk about this a little bit off the cuff. But Scott and Bess, what's your thoughts on, the summer season availability issues and maybe the use of ECUs on playoff time?
You said use of ECUs during playoff. Is that what you said? I kind of lost you there at the end.
Yeah, I was just wondering what their takes are going into next season about possibly using ECUs in the playoffs. Obviously, it's not ideal. You'd want the roster guys to play, but, when things come up, and instead of letting the games be a forfeit, it might be better to let ECU play.
Well, most of the decisions about next season are going to be handled by Doc and Deuce. So they're going to be pretty much running the show.
Right.
And, but, we'll definitely have some influence into what the direction they want to go. So, and my understanding is that they're looking at doing something where there's going to be assigned like TCs to a team or something along those lines. It hasn't been completely fleshed out, but that would be something that would probably resolve this issue. Because, in other leagues you have that pool of players that you can call on to fill in as you need. So I know they are thinking about those. I just don't know what it's going to look like just yet.
Detroit is searching, and I think Vancouver is right now as well. So we'll see if anybody happens to pop up here, and we'll get you a game showing as soon as somebody is available to go. We are a few minutes after 9, so we hopefully will get Game 6 going here shortly in both of them. Again, just to recap, Game 5, we had St. Louis struggling in that Game 5, going down to Vancouver 6-3. Meanwhile, Montreal, Detroit, slow game, Game 5, but Montreal able to get some scoring going and win that one 2-1. Very defensive matchup going there. So we'll see how that plays out in game number 6. In Detroit, certainly were a lot more aggressive last night. Kind of went back to what we saw in games 1 and 2 when we watched game 5. We'll see if that changes with their lineup tonight. And certainly when you're able to put in some of the guys that they have going up front in this one, in this game number 6, it's it helps you when you put Bear out there. He's got a lot of energy when he plays. He is all over the ice, and Thompson certainly a good all around center the way you want him to be. Good at getting his wings the puck. Good at coming back to play defense. I think we expect a little bit more out of this forward line for game number 6. We see a Game 6 lineup for Montreal just submitted as well. So looks like they have Down South Killa at center, Ghost Bear on left wing, Dakota Pie right wing, Blue 1595 on left D, Fat Matt right D, and Midnight Fapper in net. And I guess because they made a change at left wing, Montreal's going to have to take a penalty to start off their game. So nothing has started up in either one of them. We hope to see something happen, but nothing of yet.
Hey, Ford, are you still there with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm moderating chats and whatnot.
Oh, okay. I was going to see what your take was on, going into Game 6 and what these guys need to do to be able to close this series out on Montreal's side and for St. Louis as well.
I think Montreal just needs to play their style of game. Don't try to how do I say it? Don't try to adapt to what Detroit's doing. Just play their style of the game. Come out fast. They're a good team. We've seen it all throughout the playoffs, obviously. As for Vancouver, I think, as I've said it multiple times, Vancouver, they need to come out kind of swinging, punch St. Louis in the face and say, look, like, we're taking this to 7. Whether you like it or not, we're going to take it to 7. And I think that's where, I think that's kind of what Vancouver really needs. Vancouver needs these guys to really show up. Otherwise, obviously, St. Louis is just going to kind of walk all over them.
Just to remind
predictions.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you have any predictions on what you think is going to happen in Game 6s for both sides?
I'm gonna take Montreal winning it in 6. As for the Vancouver series, I'd like to see it go to 7. But that also, the first 5 minutes of the first period are going to tell us whether or not it's going to go to 7 games. I don't want to say that I'm not a big St. Louis fan, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm not like biased, I guess. I'd love to see kind of the 2 underdogs play in the Stanley Cup, but obviously the better team is going to win, and I think that we're watching teams grow throughout these playoffs. We're watching teams kind of find an identity for themselves and not, just, it's Vancouver. It's like, no, it's Vancouver, the team that has kind of fought and scratched their way here, and it's Montreal that has, the remarkable comeback, everything along those lines. I guess it's kind of what I'm more or less kind of looking at.
Go ahead, Sibs, if you got something.
Yeah, I just wanted to, what we're showing right now on screen is all the places that you can go to get us on social media, and just want to remind everybody that, of course, on the YouTube channel, the WEHL Sportscast, look that up. You can find this channel if you're not already watching it. If you happen to be watching this on Twitch, you can get this on the YouTube channel. Hopefully we'll get something going with Twitch next season as well, so we can stream to both of them. Twitter, WEHL Official. Same thing on Instagram. It's uppercase on some of the letters on Twitter, but it doesn't matter. You can search for either one of them. And on Facebook, the World E-Hockey League. Look for that group and send in a submission, and we'll get you in there as soon as we can. But that's how you can connect with us each and every day. And, of course, once you're part of the league, get you in the Discord and get you talking there. Actually, I don't even think you need to be part of the league, right? We can get you in the Discord. You can see the players who are involved here and get a chance to talk to some of the people who play in it. Definitely a different group of guys maybe than you've seen elsewhere. And it's been interesting to learn about a lot of players I didn't know about. There's quite a few in the playoffs now that I do know, but there are still plenty that I've never played for and never played with in other leagues, and I've been doing it for 3 years now. And yet there's a lot of new players in this one, which makes it more interesting to me that you've got players that are different here that you may not be familiar with playing elsewhere. So can't wait to see a lot. Who else we have coming in next season. Where are we with get Scott and Best in here? Where are we with sign-ups with the page for people to start signing up for season 2? What else you want to talk about that might be going on in season 2 that might be interesting for the folks to hear about?
Well, season 2 signups should be opening this weekend. We're all supposed to sit down together this weekend and hash out, go over the rule book, all the owner applications, all that stuff. We're supposed to do that this weekend. So, yeah, I don't know if Scott has anything to add.
Nope, that's about right. So, it would be nice to be a little further planned, but we've obviously the playoffs have kept us busy, and You know, it's just a matter of sitting down with the team, the commissioners, and Amanda and Keith and I, and just getting it all worked out.
We'll take a quick look, and we've got some stats for the Vancouver-St. Louis game, and just take a look at what happened in game number 5 here with Vancouver. Heedless Gem with 3 goals and an assist in this one. You see Metcalf, we saw both of his goals, and he played extremely well in that one. And 11 saves by Loons in this game, so he faced 14 shots. D's on the other side in net, also with 11 saves. I pass, you score, held off the scoreboard with only 1 assist for the most part. So, that's a bit of a surprise. We've seen him play well in his playoff series and dominate at times. So, interesting to see that. Vancouver did a good job keeping him off there, centering for Rapel and average. Rapel had the hat trick, but they kept bypass off the scoreboard. So I think that's certainly a key to why that may have been a successful game for the Canucks in that one. Looks like Detroit and Montreal about ready to start up here. We'll head on over to that feed, take a look at it now, and at least watch that game. Vancouver and St. Louis have not yet started up. They're trying to get things going there, but we will take a look now at Detroit and Montreal to start this one. Montreal clearly having to take some penalties to give Detroit at least one man advantage here.
Yeah, and this is definitely a must-win game for Detroit. Definitely want to see them capitalize on this first power play and come out strong, take the lead early in this game, and find a way to put pressure on Montreal.
Vancouver, St. Louis may also just about be ready here, so.
They just matched up now.
Face off one, and the winger stepped right in. Muscled off. The Canadians in their own end controlling the play. In with it now. A shot. Save there. Covers and stops play.
Wow.
Defensive zone win.
And right off the bat, we see Montreal doing a good job of this penalty kill.
Not much time left. Power play meter running. It's taken by Martinez. That puck is loose. A good defensive play. Got that pass in his own end. The Canadians are
Power play is over. Montreal coming back the other way. And almost walking right in there. Great dangle with that puck. And right after killing a penalty, Montreal taking advantage, out 1-0 already.
Oh, man.
Hey, guys, I didn't catch it. Who won the first game? Who won the first game for Montreal Detroit tonight?
Montreal won that one. Yeah, 2-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vancouver and St. Louis is... Oh, nope, they had another connection issue.
Yeah, looks like they have to start over again, so they've been struggling tonight getting their games going.
That puck's loose, deflected away by McLaren. Oh, the pass just didn't work. Nice work by Jack. On to Jack. A shot. It's off his pad.
So Vancouver just notified me that St. Louis is using a different lineup than what was posted, and they're not communicating because they need to take a penalty.
Okay.
Yeah, Rapel, you guys want to reach out to them and make sure you guys take the appropriate penalties?
Right, I'll make a message them right now. Thanks for letting me know.
Yep.
Is it per lineup switch you get a penalty, or is it just one stock penalty?
No, it's per lineup switch plus, maximum of 2. So if you switch out your entire line, then You're looking at 2 penalties at the beginning, going down on a 5-on-3.
5-on-3.
Gathered up again by McLaren. Incredible skill on the attack. Great work with the stick. Brings a shot. Terrific save there. Didn't look like he had anything to shoot at, and he made it tough. The Red Wings keep the play going in the middle. Laid on to Jack. A whistle for an offside. Under 7 minutes remaining here in the period. It's a 1-0 game. Montreal's got it off the draw at center.
Another tight game.
Started out a little quick.
That. I was going to say, we kind of expected that from these two. It's kind of been, other than the 2 blowouts, it's been pretty low scoring for both sides.
So Vancouver has got their guys together again, so they're searching. Let's see if we can get this one started soon.
And a solid job from the winger there. Lets it go. Wonderful stop. Hangs on for a whistle. The Canadians with a
Detroit finds themselves struggling a little bit offensively in this first period. We'll see if they're able to make any adjustments towards the end of this first and into the second period.
Going in the zone. Through the corner. Collected by Martinez.
And it looks like there's going to be another restart going, so a little trouble getting that Western Conference game started.
It's the third one.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I think that might have been a Vancouver. It may have been a Vancouver. Yeah, I'm trying to take a look at what that lineup was.
Was it before or after the game started?
It's actually the Blues. Looked like White Knucklers had trouble there. Looked like he dumped it the last second, so.
All right.
Detroit getting an opportunity there, but not able to connect.
I was just making sure it wasn't a lag out, that's all.
They were about ready to start, and then he dropped as they were about to get going, so. Took a while on that black screen. Looks like now Detroit is going to get called.
Oh, man, it just happened again.
First period has been completed. And so, intermission.
They lost someone again.
Yeah, I saw, for the lineups, I saw St. Louis had Knucklers, Kornek, I'm new. The front line, Top Cheese, Nasty Uncle Dad is in this game. Which I think originally they said he wasn't, and then now he is. So maybe that's where the discrepancy was. Bergeron and net. Vancouver's got Sink Smasher, Beer and Pickles, Cullender, as we mentioned, Esiason, Fan, Goodfellow, and Dustin Peace. That lineup remained the same as what we saw in Discord.
And we've heard time and time again White Knucklers refer to RV Clutch as the guy that just he has the most chemistry with. It's interesting to see that St. Louis didn't put out that RV Clutch White Knucklers combination, and it will be interesting to see if Cornet and White Knucklers can connect like they've done in the past and find a way to win this game 6.
We would have loved to put out RV Clutch, but he wasn't available for the game 6. If we do go to game 7, though, he'll be there for sure.
Excellent. Well, definitely would love to see that combination. Definitely solid.
Mm-hmm. These are definitely exciting games. Whether they're tight games or high-scoring games, they're definitely exciting.
Oh, especially we're in game 6 of the conference finals now, so I mean everything's nerve-wracking. I mean, as much as I listen to the podcast every night, you guys are great, and you guys are pretty big on us, right? But I mean, in our locker room at the same time, it's like this stuff is nerve-wracking no matter what, right?
Sure.
Game 6, conference finals. No, like it's a big game, man. Because it's been a long time. It's like we've come this far now. We don't want to lose now.
Absolutely not, and that's what I was talking about in the pregame show is the nerves that come into play and how your heart rate, literally the physiological effects of a video game, your heart rate can increase, the nerves just get super tense.
When they say sweaty games, they're being serious.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, no, I just heard, I'm listening in on my stream there, Nasty's stream there to try to see if they can get that game going, and I heard him saying when they were going in that you can't play these playoff games without drinking because they stress them out too much.
I'm not gonna lie, there's been at least a couple of playoff games that I've been a part of, and I definitely wish I had a prescription to some Xanax.
Oh yeah, yeah, I had a few last night before game 3. I'm not gonna lie.
I bet. Yeah. I bet.
Yeah, if I was prescribing,
guys on that. They're fucking looking for something.
I would have gone with Xanax and a little metoprolol to lower that heart rate too.
Wow.
That's a bit much.
Nah, just smoke a little weed.
There you go. You get some, herbal stuff in this mix. Something natural.
That's right.
Well, everything's natural at some point. You can make that argument. You can make that argument all you want.
Prescription. Yeah. Ever see Boo?
And Montreal now putting one in here almost halfway through the second, making it 2-0.
Uh-oh.
Still injured though. So.
And again, it's been their kind of pace. It's been a slow, plodding game. Not a lot of offensive opportunities. They're not taking any chances. The defenseman is staying back, but they're still finding opportunities. And another good chance for Montreal there.
I'm glad Fort brought up the point that Montreal, going into this beginning of the season, was their record was something like 4-24, something like that, before there was a change in ownership and just a change in the culture in the locker room. And the more we've seen them play in the playoffs, it's been I've started to forget that they're kind of the underdogs going into the playoffs.
Right.
It was kind of by miracle that they got a chance to be here, and now they're absolutely just dominating game after game after game and showing why they belong in this league, and it's beautiful to see.
Another dressing room error, and we had a feed from Beer and Pickles. He might be killing his stream if he keeps on dropping. So we might not be able to get it from him tonight. See if we can find another.
Nope, it happened again.
Nasty has his stream up. Nasty has his stream up. You wanna watch his?
I love you wrong time.
Oh, my laptop just died.
Let's just shoot me that link so I can put that up here.
Yeah, I'll send it to you in the Discord.
Thank you, sir.
Actually, it's in the game film stream. I put it in there.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
So definitely Montreal doing what they need to do to put the pressure on Detroit. Detroit's almost getting to the point of absolute desperation, and we'll see if that works to their benefit or works to hurt them. When you're down in the series and your life is on the line, you just play a little bit differently than you do when you're up in a series. And it'll be interesting to see if Detroit's able to stretch this to a game 7. A lot of hockey left to play, though.
Under 4 minutes now left in the second, with Montreal still leading 2-0. Again, we really haven't seen an awful lot offensively going on here for Detroit. So it's interesting so far that they just kind of are out of their game. We see Bear out there, but we're not seeing a lot going on with him. We're not seeing him finding too many opportunities. We saw last round he was all over the place and really finding the right opening at the right time, and it's just not happening in this game. And I have to look at what Bear's done so far in the playoffs in this round, but I don't think he's had tremendous numbers in the conference finals.
Yeah, it's almost like Montreal was listening into the podcast and took some notes from White Knuckler's book, and they're winning this game by keeping the puck in the offensive zone and limiting Detroit's scoring chances. That's exactly what they need to do, being up by 2 goals here.
Final seconds, Detroit with an opportunity and a good quick shot, but a good save there by Hybrid, and it will be the last opportunity Detroit has in this period. And now one more period for Montreal. As you said, 4:25, almost a minute and a half difference time on attack in favor of Montreal. So it plays right into what you're talking about. They were able to do something positive with that time and just keep the puck away. They did it last game. They're doing it again. We'll be getting back to that game here shortly. But again, just want to remind you, we're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You see how you can get to us. WEHL Sportscast on YouTube, WEHL Official on Instagram and Twitter, and the World E-Hockey League on Facebook. So catch up with us there if you can. Meanwhile, back to this game in the third period, Montreal and Detroit.
Backhander to the net. Made that work for him in goal. Send down for icing.
Jordan Wisner, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but he's Midnight Fapper. He said that Hybrid, the guy that is streaming, it's actually his. He's the one that's streaming.
Fine.
Well, definitely want to thank. I was going to say we want to thank anybody that's streaming and helping us. You know, without these guys streaming these games, we wouldn't be able to put the show on, and we just want to thank everybody that's putting those streams up for us.
Yeah, Dakota Pie was able to get us a stream, and believe me, I appreciate Fapper being able to provide a stream as well. But it's a goaltending stream, so we use it if we have to. But we were able to also get one from Dakota Pie, who is in this game as well for Montreal. So we're showing that one here on the broadcast. But if you want a goaltender view, you can go see Fapper's feed as well.
It's already been 2 periods. I'm down back.
As a goaltender, I like watching that feed, but I think a lot of other players don't like seeing that.
I don't mind it really, especially if it's, as if it's my team. If it's my goaltender, then I can see how the defense is breaking down and how things are getting through, and kind of help coach the guys along while watching the stream.
Right.
And I think it also helps if the goaltender is really good about using that camera movement.
Beautiful, guys.
And another goal for Montreal here. 12-14 left to go in the third. And Detroit, their backs are against the wall now. Montreal with a 3-0 lead. And the Canadiens came back after a rough night last night, came back and have really been in control, have played exactly the way they want to. And Detroit has really had trouble getting good opportunities offensively.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big thing that I said was that, Montreal is they were going to have to come out and play their style of game. And so far, I mean, that's exactly what they're doing.
Here, okay? Don't let him back in.
Vancouver and St. Louis are trying again.
They're going to have another DRE right now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
5.
I think both teams had 5 guys. They both lost somebody there.
Yeah. Wow.
That's getting ridiculous, huh?
This game is wonderful.
Oh, man, what can you do there?
They're a half hour trying at this point.
So you may have to have a 10:30 game 7.
Don't take any risks. Just kill the penalty. No big.
You hear Montreal talking in their party. They're not wanting to take any chances. They're trying to play smart. They've taken a timeout here. And we'll get back to that game in a second here. But Vancouver, St. Louis still trying to get something going.
Yeah, it's because it's a West connection, I think.
Yeah, they've got a solid two additional minutes time on attack, and that's worked to Montreal's benefit. Midnight Thapper in our chat was talking about their guys' availability being limited, not having their top scorers. But that just goes to show how much depth Montreal has and how they're able to lead in these two games and win Game 5. And if they keep it on the way they're going, they'll win Game 6 as well.
And now with a 3-0 lead, and you've got and they're killing a penalty at this point as well.
Keep those guys away.
But you've got Fap in net, and again he's been playing solidly. And if you're watching this game, he isn't making any wild moves. I stress this. And coming as a 500 goaltender, I'm not sure how much it's worth, but I stress this as much as I can. The best players I see in net are the ones who are quiet, who have good anticipation but aren't over anticipating, and are making their timely moves. You do see Fap anticipate from time to time, but it's only a little bit to that side. He doesn't go crazy. He doesn't go sliding all the way across to the other post, and that makes him. It puts him in good position every time, and it doesn't make him overcommit. That's an advantage for Montreal right now. 4 minutes left to go in this third period, up by 3 goals. I'm not sure how Detroit has an opportunity to draw this one even.
Yeah, I think barring a miracle, this is over for Detroit. Montreal's just controlling the puck too well and limiting Detroit's chances. So I think barring a miracle, it's going to be Montreal's game.
Going back to what you said about Fapper and anticipation, it's funny because me and him we were playing a game the other night, and he was like, "Wow, my internet connection is so good, anywhere else besides hockey." Well, we got to talking, and he's actually out on the West Coast, so he's on, he's kind of at a disadvantage to play goalie. He said that at any given time, his ping range is from like mid-80s to low 90s, and he said that, it's really taught him to kind of trust his guys and to read lanes a lot better instead of hoping that the game makes the save for him.
Last 30 seconds here. Montreal on a break. And this will close it out. The fourth goal on a breakaway. Of course, Detroit has to take chances, but now it is all but over pretty much here for Montreal. They are going to win Game 6 and move on to the finals. And a great, great effort by them in this one.
Yeah, looks like the boys finally got in.
Very good. That'll be great. We'll be able to commentate on that game. But you got to give it to Montreal. The way they came out and played, found a way to.
Gremlin, you gotta not give me your cancer, bro.
and get this series over with in 6.
And Montreal with the victory here, and we'll head on over the other game as Vancouver has quickly gone up 1-0 in that one.
Oof.
Really?
Oof. Yeah, Montreal, the comeback story of the season, really. I mean, you turn a team all the way around, and now you're headed to the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't think any story can get as sweet as that, And I think that's awesome is what Fapper has done over there for that team and for those guys, and for the league in general. I mean, it just shows that, with the right owners, the right guys that want to play, that are dedicated, anything can really happen.
See if we can get Fapper on here as well to talk in his post game here. It's Vancouver, St. Louis, and we'll have this one to watch. See if Vancouver can get back into it and force a Game 7.
No, Vancouver.
Did you already send an invitation, or do you need me to?
Oh, you might as well go ahead and send it. He may still be able to get in from last time. He wasn't earlier, but let's send it to him.
I just suggested him.
Yeah, get him back in here again.
No.
Dakota, you want to go? Nice pass.
And St. Louis tying it up here.
I can't do
Oh, you're ahead of me.
it. Let's go. I think this way.
But
Wait, so who wants to go? Because I want to bring somebody with me. Who wants to go?
You can hear Faffer and his guys talking because he doesn't want to take everything and kind of bring one of the guys in.
If there's room, I'll get. Yeah. If there's room, I'll get both guys. There you go.
That's funny to hear.
Nice. Good job, boys.
And St. Louis, now 2 goals in a row, have gone up 2-1 here in the first period.
Who wants to go? Wait, you want? Okay, South and Big. Okay, all right. I gotta bring both I gotta bring both of you guys. Come on, I can't.
Looks like we're going to have a couple of guys from Montreal come in, and, you know, I'm sure they're pumped up after winning that Game 6, and it'll be interesting to see what they have to say about, you know, who their potential opponents are going to be, and we'll get their take on how they felt about that win.
Dig.
Approaching the halfway mark of the first period, Vancouver opened the scoring.
My girlfriend just told me I had my face red like a...
St. Louis have hit the last 2 and are ahead now 2-1.
Best, are you there?
I'm here, buddy.
Can you add those suggested players? We're gonna get Midnight Fapper in here and a couple of the guys from Montreal.
Damn.
You're good, man.
Forget about that.
We could allow 2 in here.
Man, they're pressuring like fucking crazy.
We do have Midnight Fapper in here now, and we hope to get at least one other player in here. We have room for one more.
I'll have them take turns if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, send them both invites, and whoever gets in first gets to talk first.
all right. That'll be fun. Oh man.
Hey, congrats on that. Congrats on that win.
I can finally breathe, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, that was running around all day trying to get lines together, man. Holy.
And then you have to get in there and play the game.
Yeah, man. I mean, we played a heck of a defensive game for both games, and that really carried us over. I mean, once again, relying on that consistent D, except for that 7-goal game that I kind of got on my guys about.
So you said you got onto the guys. What adjustments did you make with the guys to prevent that from happening tonight?
You know, gotta not. Like, we knew once we let that happen that Detroit was going to come out, you know, punching the rest of the series.
Right.
And we had to just not let it really kind of get us down, because we'd been on such a roll. Before we lost those 2 games yesterday, we were like 10-1 in playoffs. And we'd been on such a roll that it really, you know, we really never had to face some sort of like punch back. So it was good to see my guys really respond well to those 2 games they lost yesterday.
We were talking earlier about you guys being the Cinderella story of the year, being able to come back the way you have in the regular season to make the playoffs and then just dominate the playoffs as you have. You know, talk a little bit about, you know, how does it feel to be in this situation and have this opportunity to go to the Stanley Cup Finals?
Well, you know, I mean, I couldn't have done it without the guys that I brought along that really helped. Really, I mean, build this team to what it is now. I mean, without their help, I mean, I'm just an owner. Without their help, without them really buying into it, we would have never gotten this far.
As the period winds down here, St. Louis leading 2-1 after 1 against Vancouver. Let's look at the stats from the game. Montreal shutting out Detroit 4-0, and in that game, Dakota Pye with 2 goals and 2 assists. A goal and an assist each for Ghost Bear, and down south, 16 saves and a shutout opportunity there for Midnight Fapper. So solid game all around.
Okay.
Detroit getting kept off the scoreboard, getting 11 shots themselves, but again, the way Montreal plays defense, 11 shots to me is not going to be nearly enough, and it certainly proved to be not only tough for them to find opportunities, but to even get on the scoreboard and to keep Detroit off the scoreboard in a Game 6 like that, Fab. That's amazing. You guys, you said, played tremendous defense, and in both of these games, again, played pretty much like it did in Game 1 and 2. You controlled the pace, you kept it very defensive, and you made it tough on Detroit to get any opportunities.
Of course, man. I got down south in here, so he just played the game with me too. So if you guys have any questions for him, go ahead and toss them his way.
Hey, down south, congrats on the victory, and it looked like again, part of that team defense in my mind, and I think we've talked about it as a group, is the way it's successful is that the center comes back and helps out. And you guys, whoever's been playing the center position in all your games in this playoff, have had that focus. You play to set up your wingers, but you also come back and help out defensively. How big is it in your mind that the center can play well both ways?
It's huge. I mean, I think centers should be playing defense first. That's most important. But moving the puck to your wingers, that transition game is, vital.
Looks like
keeping the breakouts, keeping the stretch going.
Maybe in game chat, actually.
And we see Vancouver just getting on the board now in the second period. It's now 3-2 St. Louis. We'll keep an eye on that one. And then, of course, you're helping out defensively, but you know that you've got two good defensemen back there, and then, of course, you've got Fapper and net, and that has to give you some comfort as a forward as well.
Oh yeah, our goalies are amazing. We trust them each and every game. Fapper played lights out this game. Stay true. But defensively, it was a very solid game, and I think that's what allowed us forwards to do what we needed to do, trusting our guys back behind us.
Well, now you wait to see who you take on with St. Louis and Vancouver. Do you have any preference there, or you guys feel like you can play this kind of game against anybody?
Yeah, we can. I believe we can do it against anybody. Hope the best team wins over there, and expect a tight series the next game we go into. But either one, take your pick. We'll take them on.
St. Louis now has gone up 4-2, as you see. 12:05 left to go in the second. Vancouver, again, kind of playing the St. Louis game in this one.
South, let Big join.
Okay.
All right, down south, thanks. Appreciate it, buddy. And congrats again.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so South is my center that just played in that game 6, and then Big's my other center that plays in the other games. So they've kind of been my ride or dies on everything, availability and all that, and they're two solid guys.
All right. And we'll get him in here shortly.
They must have nerves of steel to have a shutout in the conference finals. That's intense shit.
That is amazing. And Big Little Guy joins us now. And again, congrats on getting to the finals now. I'm not sure where you were on this team in the season. Have you been with them from the beginning?
Yeah, I was in there from game 1 of when we joined Montreal till the end right now.
So you're 4-25. Is this a concept in your mind going to the finals at that point?
Not really. We were just there to play and have fun and see where we could go in this league. And when we started clicking and winning, we just decided, hey, let's go for it. Put it all on the line and go. And we had a great group of guys behind us from every position, from who was available to who wasn't.
And talk about, we mentioned again earlier about the defense that you guys play and how important it is not just for the defenseman and the goaltender to be on, but for the forwards to come back and help out and for the center to be a big part of protecting that slot. Talk about what it is, what you do, defensively as a forward.
Well, I play the center on one line, and South plays the center on the other.
Right.
And we're defensive, but the line I play on, it's usually Grimm will be my right wing, and he
Dick
knows
Fingers.
how Dick Fingers
T-Sib's favorite
knows
player.
how I'm very aggressive on a lot of plays, and he covers for me a lot if I'm up there with Dirty on our left.
Right.
And we just rotate well, and our D hold it down from backhand to Matt to Blues to whoever, and our goalies are solid back there. And we just go back and support them because they let us do our thing, and we just go back there and help them when we pretty much, if we turn it over or we can't get in the net.
St. Louis is going on yet another power play. 3:16 left to go, as you see in the second period. Still up 4-2 in this game, but Vancouver really, it just has not been their pace. They've had several penalties. They've given St. Louis a lot of opportunities, and they really have not controlled the puck on the other end. And again, very quickly on the power play, another goal, and St. Louis up 5-2 here. And that is a bad one. I'm new with another goal in this one, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah. Fabber, question. Going forward, obviously the big concern is availability, because I know that you guys had problems with availability tonight. Do you think that your guys' availability is going to open up, come next week, and these guys are kind of going to realize, like, hey, we have a chance here. That chance that you guys have been riding on all season, it's kind of coming true now, so what do you, how are you going to assess that and everything?
Well, I can tell you what, if I have any problems with that, I'm tracking IP addresses and I'm showing up at the front doors. Because
look at the finals, sure, absolutely.
Because man, I'm telling you, if you're not as hyped up as I am about getting the chance at the cup in any league you're in. I mean, no matter what it is, you put time. I mean, no matter what, you put so much time into it, and to get there and have the chance to take it. I mean, I don't know who wouldn't want to be there for that.
Shots 15-3 in favor of St. Louis after 2. By the way, if you have any of your players who are in the Philadelphia area and you are concerned about their availability, as part of media, I'm taking it as my responsibility to show up on their front door for you. So just let me know.
Yes, just show up and start interviewing them. Like, why are you not available this week? What's going on in your life?
Our left wing that didn't show up today actually lives in right around Philadelphia. So
Oh boy, here we go.
I'll be sending information.
There we go.
new T-Sibs interviews.
It'll be a new segment on the show, man.
It would be really interesting if I showed up on an NHL 19 player's doorstep and said, "Hey, where the hell were you in Game 5?"
Some sort of strike. Would you consider this a player lockout?
Let me see a PS4. Prove it's broken.
Are you holding out for any reason? Like,
can you confirm your whereabouts around these times?
Right. Thank you, Nicholas Garcia. He just subscribed to the YouTube channel, so
backhand.
Closer to that 150 goal.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys watching and being here.
South.
And we're having a lot of fun covering these games. Yeah,
that's South.
We've got Midnight and Big Little Guy with us here from the final team, one of the final teams, the Montreal Canadiens, going to the finals now. Rapel is here, waiting to do his post-game interview if his team can win this one. And with 16 minutes left to go, they're up by 3. So Vancouver just struggling in this game, not really getting any pace going. It's been all St. Louis for the most part.
That was a good pick.
And it looks like that St. Louis has been able to implement the game plan that Knuckler's outlined in between Game 5 and Game 6. St. Louis is controlling the play, keeping the puck in the offensive zone. Absolutely dominating the time on attack, as you see here, and just making sure that they get a good quality chance before Vancouver is able to break out, limiting Vancouver's chances to come back in this game.
Hey, let's bring Best and Scott Powers back in here for a second, if they're still awake. Let's talk to them a little bit about what they've seen so far tonight. We've seen Montreal and Detroit, and Montreal just playing tremendous hockey. But I want to talk a little bit more about what we've all been talking about for the last several weeks, and that is Montreal starting out with a rough season and now going to the finals. I'll start with you, Best. How do you see that? What does it mean to you to see a team come back and take a really bad situation and get all the way to the championship round?
Well, it's quite extraordinary, really. I mean, he didn't have a whole lot of time to put that team together. What, 3-4 weeks, I think it was, before the playoffs. I can't remember exactly the time range, but it definitely wasn't all season, and for him to do that in such a short amount of time and then go through Detroit, and it's just, I'm amazed. Like, I definitely thought that team should most definitely get most improved team. Like, that's amazing.
Scott, what's your take on what Montreal's been able to do this season?
Yeah, without a doubt. They pretty much dominated the last half of the season. I was looking at the brackets, and it's like you realize that that last series was the wild card 1 versus wild card 2, which is just amazing. Just kind of shows, anybody can beat anyone. So, I think Montreal has definitely punched their ticket. They've deserved the spot. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with either St. Louis or Vancouver next week.
5-3 St. Louis, Vancouver.
Yeah, Vancouver just scored a few minutes ago. We're hitting 6 minutes left to go in the third period. Vancouver was able to get a break, so St. Louis are taking too many chances. And, again, a couple of good opportunities here. But not able to capitalize. Trying to keep it in, but St. Louis looks like they'll work it out.
Oh.
About to hit 4 minutes left to go in this one. St. Louis still pushing offensively.
You know that lag out from the left wing has got to be messing with their game plan. It limits your ability to create a triangle and keep the puck moving in offensive zone like we've seen. They're still doing a good job of rotating guys in and out and moving the puck around, but it's definitely harder when you've got a computer on the ice for sure.
Oh, without question. Yeah, I think that's, plus the frustration of waiting, lag out after lag out after lag out is ridiculous. Under a minute now left to go. It's 2-goal lead for St. Louis. Vancouver needs one quickly if they're going to have a chance.
Good thinking, center.
And I think St. Louis may have had a lag out for one of their players as well.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. St. Louis is playing without their left wing, and that's huge for Vancouver because it kind of breaks up the St. Louis plays that we've seen.
And
it's harder for them to be able to control the puck in the offensive zone that way.
Their compy winger almost had a clear breakaway there, okay. So it's one of those fun situations in a game. But yeah, all sorts of connections problems with this series tonight in both games. But 15 seconds left to go. St. Louis looks like they're on their way to the championship as well. Vancouver getting one more opportunity, but the last couple of seconds tick off, and St. Louis will win this one 5-3. And have taken this series by 4-2, a margin here in games. And St. Louis winning this one, I don't think it was a huge surprise to anybody, but certainly, had to fight a little bit. Lost that first game, and a double overtime game, and we thought, well, maybe we might see more of this. We saw a couple of games that were close, a couple of one-goal games, but 6-3, St. Louis win now, a 5-3 win in this one, and St. Louis closing out Vancouver, who, obviously last round, a lot going on with that series. A lot of folks, wondering what's going on, and Vancouver having to at least deal with that until it was all cleared up. And now a tough night for them. You see Knucklers with a pair of goals in this one, and we will hopefully get a chance to maybe talk to him as well at some point here. But Rapel, congrats on another round by you guys.
Thanks a lot, man. I'm excited to get going. Are the Montreal guys still in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congratulations, guys. You guys had a hell of a season. You guys started 4 and 4-15, 4-25,
4-16. I think was the official.
Yeah. Well, whatever it was, man. It's crazy for you to come in and turn that team around after they basically folded. So, just want to say congratulations on that, and I'm looking forward to hopefully a really good series with you guys.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be very fun, man. It's gonna be a heck of a series, I think.
Certainly.
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully, it's not too sweaty.
you got a pretty powerful St. Louis.
Sweaty, man.
Yeah. You got a pretty powerful St. Louis offense, and Montreal no slouch offensively, but we've seen how well they play defensive. Vancouver tried to do that a little bit to you guys in this series. Minnesota was somewhat successful as well to a certain extent in winning a couple of games by playing more defensively. It's going to be yet another team that's going to try and slow you guys down, and I'm assuming that's going to be something you're going to focus on when you talk to your players this week.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The Minnesota series, they caught us off guard a little bit too. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I thought we were going to sweep them. They came out and they stole a couple of games there. Vancouver was also a lot better than expected too. We kind of tried to ego them a little bit, just posting our lineups, even though we were home. Just kind of to get in their heads, and they took advantage of that because we didn't put out our top line in the first game, and they went out and they put their top line out. So they stole another game there. I was nervous, man, going into that game 6. I thought that there was a chance. I really didn't want to have to go back out there and lace them up for game 7. But the boys pulled it off, so.
And again, Montreal, we've got Fapper in here and Big Little Guy as well. Again, we know what your strategy has been to a certain extent just by watching your play. I'm assuming you guys think the Blues are going to be the toughest challenge you guys have faced to this point.
Oh yeah, I definitely think the Blues are going to be the team to beat. We've kind of seen that throughout the whole entire playoffs. I think everybody's kind of taken that into consideration, that the Blues are the team out there, and we're. We've been keeping an eye on them. I've been keeping an eye on them throughout the entire playoffs because I definitely thought it could be a Blues Canadiens final, and here it is. And we're not gonna go down easy, but we'll do what we can.
What does the Canadians need to do to find a way to win the series against the St. Louis Blues?
Oh man, I don't think I need to be sharing that information, do I? I understand some questions, but Rapel's right there, with the voice recording.
I told him to ask that question.
I see what you're trying to do, but
you can't blame him for trying.
Hold your horses, man.
All right, Rapel, the question to you: what do you have to do to beat the Montreal Canadiens?
No comment.
Hey man, you don't need to change anything with us. You can post your home lineups way early if you want. We're okay with that.
I think we might go with strategy as opposed to being overconfident this series.
Wait, so does the home go to the highest seed, or how does that work? What's going on with?
I believe home goes the highest seed. I was actually wondering that today because I was looking.
I thought it was the All-Star game that decided it.
I've never heard of that.
I have
Nolan was mentioning that too.
Who won the All-Star game?
East.
Yeah, come on, because it was filled with Montreal.
The West forfeit like the last two games.
Who's higher seed?
Hey, man.
We St. Louis.
Who's got the best record in the playoffs?
Oh, definitely St. Louis has the higher seed for sure.
Well, then that'd be nice to figure that out then, because we've been doing higher seed the whole way through the West, obviously, but now once we get to the Stanley Cup Finals,
I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know how that works in the finals. I mean,
we'll have to look into that and figure it out for sure.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, boys, we'll flip a coin. It'll be all right.
I just want to see this coin. I don't need to see this coin and make sure.
We'll do a Facebook telescope and flip the coin.
Yeah, we'll do it all live.
There we go. The live coin flip. There you go. That's a segment.
We'll have to get on air just to do that.
Yeah.
Stream a coin flip.
Hey,
Sunday on Sports.
Let me ask you something that maybe you'll be able to answer. I'll ask you, Rapel. How many games do you think this is going to go? What's your gut reaction to this?
Careful.
That's a tough question. How many games do I think it's going to go? Well, my prediction for most of the other series at the start of the series, I'll be completely honest with you, would have been 4. I would have said 4 at the start of any series, all the way up to this point. But with Montreal, I've played.
Oh. You cut out.
You cut out, Rapel. Go ahead and start up.
So, yeah, with Montreal, I mean, when they first came under new ownership and stuff, and they got all their new players. I knew they added a few players, and I played them where we're trying to build chemistry, and we'd play against Montreal, and that's one of the only teams that when we have our full 6, like our good 6 rolling, that's one of the only teams that we've actually played in club games, and they've given us trouble. Like, I think we've lost to them a couple of times. So, I mean, if I'm going to give you a number, probably 6, but it could go either way. I'd want to say it's probably going to be a 6 or 7 game series for sure.
Giving Montreal the respect that they've earned, for sure. That's what I was saying a little bit earlier. Going into this, I'd forgotten that they're the Cinderella team. They look so stout. It's hard to believe where they were at the beginning of this series. How about you guys, Montreal? Where do you guys think the series is going to go?
How big? You can go first. Go ahead.
I really think I played against Rapel in probably one game, and we messaged each other afterwards, and we were complimenting each other, saying good game and everything. And it was a really tight, sweaty club game. I think it could go 6 or 7. Either team will make you pay off of any mistake, bad pass, or bad defensive play. And that's the thing. It's going to be really tight. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game in between each other at all. Yeah, I mean, all it's going to take is one person to mess up and no one to cover, and they're going to make you pay. And we'll do the same towards them. So I think it can go 6 to 7 easily between us. It's not going to be a sweep. If it's a sweep, I don't know how the hell that would happen.
All right. All right. Fort, didn't know if you wanted to get a few questions in here.
No, I think you guys have kind of answered everything I was going to ask. I mean, obviously, Rapel we'll get you on our Sunday night podcast sometime, and we can kind of dig into some other topics that are big questions. But we'll save that for a different time.
I'm gonna
40. Pick up the ammo.
Any last thoughts from Montreal or St. Louis that you guys want to put out there before we prepare for the Stanley Cup Finals? Some sound bites maybe.
Nice picture.
I'll go ahead and say that I think we'll be able to slow down their offense a little bit, a lot more than other teams have.
And I'll counter that. I think I think we're gonna have our way with this.
Oh, come on!
I'll counter that. I'll counter that and say
counter.
I'll counter that and say, you know, if you're gonna put your money where your mouth is, man, put your first line out in the first game, and I'll put my first line out in the first game.
Oh, absolutely.
Big versus big. Let's go, boys.
Absolutely do that. Hey, I'm not even on this tonight, so I don't have to do it. I don't have any stock in that.
You don't have to worry about losing CR.
Yeah, no, that's all that matters. Really, CR's life.
Hey, Best, I think you and Scott may want to think about a new position within the league that Pucker can fill. I don't know if I think the title could be shit stirrer, because
it's head of chirps.
I think we found a new career for Pucker. I think he actually does have to go into media. For real. Hey, guys, Ray Bull, Fap, big little guy, appreciate it that you guys came on. Congrats on your wins tonight and going to the finals, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk to you three guys next week when you guys are playing in the finals.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sure, man. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Hey,
boys, you go ahead.
No, oh, you want me to go first? I was going to say, man, no matter what happens, dude, it'll be a fun series, man. And
yeah, for sure, man. I can't wait for it. Yeah, you too. I just want to say to the media guys, you guys are doing a fucking great job. So excuse my French. I listen to your guys' podcast every night. I just went over my data listening to it at work. So you guys are doing a good job. Keep it up.
Yeah, you guys are doing great over here, man.
Thanks.
It's amazing to see.
Hey, Raffle, you can join my family plan after we beat you in the series if you want free data.
Oh, God.
Wow.
All right, I might have messed up by bringing him in here.
All right. See you guys.
All right, take it easy. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
You got it. Ray Bull, Fapper, and Big Little Guy joining us as they take off now. And we'll take off in a few minutes, but let's just get the last question to you guys. We'll start with Scott, and then we'll go to Best and Pucker and Fort. Scott, quick thought on the finals, St. Louis and Montreal. Where do you think this is going?
I think it's going to be a high scoring. I think it's going to be very exciting. And I would say that it will probably be 6 or 7 games. I think I'm going to give the edge to St. Louis.
Best?
I think it's going to go 7. I want to say St. Louis, but man, you can't count Montreal out.
Gotcha.
I'm going to say Montreal in 7.
Montreal in 7. Pucker?
Yeah, I've been staying true to St. Louis all throughout. I'm not going to go as bold as I have in the past. Every other round, I've predicted them to win in 4. I think Montreal is definitely the team for St. Louis that's going to give them the best test. Montreal actually looks very similar to St. Louis in the way they play and approach the game. So it'll be interesting to see these two match up. I definitely don't think this series is going to be over early for any team. I definitely see it going deep as well. This definitely could be the one that goes all the way to Game 7. If it goes to Game 7, I got to give it to my boy, White Knucklers, and his top line. St. Louis is going to win this in 7.
And finally, Fort, I'll give you the last word on this.
Oh, man. I think, really, we've seen 2 good teams, 2 great teams, really. And, the big story is, Montreal and the comeback, does it continue? And I'm hoping it does, and I hope that it's something that this league can really kind of grow off of, kind of feed off of it. The guys will, they'll know that, anything is possible. And I think that'll be a big thing. So I'm gonna go 7 games, but I think I'm gonna go with Montreal in 7. So
Montreal in 7. All right. Gentlemen, once again, great night tonight. A lot of fun covering these games, and good job, everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely great job, everybody, and thanks for being here, and thanks for having me, Sibs. I love being on the show.
Appreciate it. We will look at the graphics as we head on out of here, and we take a look and see that it is Montreal and St. Louis in the finals. The Blues and Canadians closing out their series in 6 tonight, and they will face off on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Game 1 of that series, and we will be here to bring it to you live right here on the YouTube channel. We thank you for watching the WEHL Hockey League on YouTube. For Fort and Dog Chow and Pucker tonight. And we also thank Best and Scott Powers for coming on. You've been watching the World E-Hockey League playoffs right here on YouTube. We will see you over the weekend for the regular show and then Tuesday night for the games.